Carrie.
Hi, guys.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Come on up, Rick. I guess you're here with, on behalf of the park board.
Yes, as you know, in large circumstances, because it was so soon, so near the start of the season, we really had no choice but to continue the operations as it was. The advantage of us taking back the beach, all the revenue for the beach comes back to the county, it doesn't go with the county. We have found this year, using the current park manager, that that's not a long-term situation, that just got us through this season. We were able to keep the beach open because of that, we just won't have to close the beach. We have revenue projections for next year, and we think we need to replace that park manager with a full-time park superintendent that not only can cover for Bass Lake Beach, but for Coons Lake, San Pierre, all the other parks, and coordinate the Knox and San Pierre parks, because I think San Pierre parks are partially run by the trustees. So that somebody coordinate all those things. We are also, our 5-year plan, parks plan, which enables us to get grants, is up in January. And we are getting quotes now. And in August, we're going to be hiring a consultant to help us get through that process. We would like to have the superintendent in place during that process to go forward, so we can, they have many things they got to do before next year. We got to set rates, we got to reorganize things, we got to make sure that there's equipment available, because much of the equipment is now owned by the current person in charge. So there's a lot of work to be done, and you can't do that a month or two before March, because you really gotta get things started before March. So we made sure with Rachel that we have the revenue for that position, and the council voted to approve that, and Mark was there and voiced his approval as well. We would like to work with the park board and have your blessing to go ahead and do this and post the position, so we can get that position hired before when the current lease of the current contract with the park manager goes. So it's a continuation, we just start working right away. That would be sometime in September, late September, early October.
So this would be a full-time spot.
Full-time position, yes. And the revenue that comes in from the beach will pay for that. None of the revenue will come from county general. And not only will that revenue help the Bass Lake Beach, will help all the parks, and having one person organizing the entire effort, I think it's gonna help everything. And I think if we get a good superintendent, to be able to find other revenue sources that will come in and improve the parks. I have position descriptions. They are based on the Indiana code to create park boards and superintendents. And we took the superintendent's job description directly from that Indiana code. And I think it fills what we believe we need for that position. Basically, a annual plan, administering that plan, supervising the administration of the department, keeping the records, taking a lot of the work away from Rachel and her office, and they don't have to do that anymore. They can kind of go above and beyond the call of duty, doing all those things. This park superintendent will be able to handle a lot of that. And as the parks develop and we take this revenue and reinvest it in the parks, they'll be able to help grow the department. That is our goal.
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I know the parks, if you hire a park superintendent, they would probably take on this duty, but until you do, who is going to do the campers that are behind in collections right now? Behind in payments?
The park board is gonna have to discuss that in the August meeting. And we will discuss that. That's a decision for the park whole board to make, not just.
Because that's your revenue, they're behind.
Right.
So,
Yes, that will help direct.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I'd like to see this process play out similar to how we hired the EMA director. You guys get your candidate and then come to us and
Well,
let us know.
Through
before
the
you-
Indiana code, the park board hires I can give you the Indiana code on that.
Yeah, because I know that's changed and I haven't read them.
And we're definitely gonna work with you guys on that.
Yeah, if the code specifically takes that out of our hands and puts it in the park board, that's fine. The board may appoint, okay, yeah, all right. Fine.
That's why we're just to get directly from the code.
Yep.
Yes, that makes it simple.
Yeah.
Motion on it, I guess.
Make the motion that the park board proceed in accordance with the cited state code.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
I will definitely work with you guys on that. Updated, maybe even come monthly for the first few months to your meetings.
Yeah.
So you guys will do all that.
That'd be good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Joanne?
Hi, I'm Joanne Bailey with Sandpier Parks and Recreation Society. And I am here because the rest of my posse is not. So we're requesting from the monies that the county has gotten, $125,000 estimate for a new enclosed pavilion that we'd like to put at Tierney Park. We'd like to start working on that park and get it back up to where we're able to use it for fundraisers, for weddings, reunions, birthday parties. We had several people that are calling me, asking me to use the park property. And for their weddings and that way they're having to supply porta pots. This would encompass, of course, a new building, the well, the septic. We're gonna have 88 bathrooms in there and the furnishings. It's a 40 by 60 building. We figure that would be big enough there. We've got a spot right there. There is an outdoor pavilion, but we would like to have another enclosed one that's bigger than the one that we've got at the town park. We are utilizing that. Plug for August 7th, we've got our first Sanpierre Spirit of Summer Festival. So we're gonna see how that goes. If that becomes overwhelming, popular demand, then we'd like to get into Tierney Park and use the property in there. We've got baseball, diamond, the backstop that Bethlehem Baptist has donated to us. We've got some more playground equipment to go in there. We want it as a functioning park instead of just vacant property over there with the outdoor pavilion that was left from the nursing home. We have been slowly but surely revitalizing our town parks. We've got some new Sanpierre Park signs that we put up. The bathrooms have been rejuvenated. We've got, of course, the lawn service that's there. He's coming in on a more frequent basis. So we're trying to do what we can to uplift our little town and make it proud for all the residents around the area. And this festival that we've got going on is going to, I should put us back on the map again. That's I don't know, I'm at a loss for words here now. Does anybody got any questions? Go ahead.
If, they do consider this in their plan, will Sanpierre be able to do the maintenance on the building, like provide the money for the maintenance, or if there, water bills or whatever that goes along with the building?
Well, I think so. I think the township, Roger Chaffins was supposed to be here. That's part of the posse. He's not here. He has been working hand in hand with us, and anything that we've needed for either one of the parks, he has gone along with. Oh, that's it. We have a new Tierney Park sign that we had put up over there. I don't know if you've seen it on Facebook, but it is awesome. You can see that thing all the way down to the, I'm so excited about that. You can go down to the vet down there, you can see it all the way down here. It's a big blue and white sign. And I wanted so that it was dedicated to the people that worked at Our Lady and the hospital, at the hospital and the nursing home. And it also brought in the Lincoln train trail. So that's what we did with that sign there. That was the big sign that we had put in, and then the two little park signs arrowing to the park. We just did that this weekend. But yeah, between Roger, myself, Vance, and Yvonne, we all pretty much do whatever maintenance has to be done on it. If we need it as a regular maintain, I don't see where there should be a problem that the township couldn't supply, because Roger gets so much in the budget for the township. He had a new deep well put in at the town park, and he's all gung ho for this too. Because after I was at that one park board meeting, I says, hey, I think we need to do this. I said, I'm going back. I'm asking for some money. He says, go ahead and do it. So that's why I'm here. We're trying to do whatever we can, and we're trying to help the community and help whatever else in Stark County. If they, instead of everybody getting crammed up in one place, open it up a little bit and say, hey, we've got some stuff over here too. And that's pretty much what we're doing. What else?
I think that's about all we can
It's
do.
your neck of the woods.
Yeah. No, it's exciting to hear that, so it's kind of what we need over in that area.
But we're using, the parks are being used more now. There's been several birthday parties and reunions. I've got one family, the Nielsen family, does the reunion every year at our town park. And if we had the other one, boy, that would be, we'd like to get some music vendors in there, have some shows in there. So we, you know, I'm probably not saying everything Roger would say, but I'm doing the best I can. Are you getting the point? What I'm trying to say? And if there's any other questions, of course, I'm always available.
Do you know the timeline of the ARPA funds? So
No.
the council and the board of commissioners have until the end of 2024 to allocate the money and the
Okay,
end of 2026 to spend the money. So it's not like an immediate,
right. I
thing.
didn't think it was, but I didn't know any of that. I just, we put this together and I said, I'm going.
might as well get your request in.
Yeah. If there's anything else that you need, as far as additional information, you've got my email, just contact me, my phone number, and I'll be more than happy to give whatever information, answers you need for whatever. But pretty much, I think that's about it, right? Marty, I see you thinking, no?
No, I was thinking, all right. I think you have a couple really nice properties for one thing. I think
Yeah.
Both Trinity Park and the one I always used to cycle when I cycled. In the days when I did such things,
Yeah,
but that was always my destination from Rochester. It's a real nice ride and it's a nice blue park. And I'm talking about the one in town, but
Yeah.
both of them are. So.
well, Kenny Jacobson has been leveling off from that debacle of a salvage that was done there at Tierney Park. And he's been leveling that all out. We're trying to get that straight. Well, he's trying to get that straightened around. We're not sure if we should replant trees in there or just grass or whatever. It just all depends on what the last of the outcome looks like, because there was a lot of concrete that was left there that wasn't crushed up. But we've got the rest of the grounds and we'd like to have some bigger events over there. So we've got facilities to be able to handle that. That's what we're looking to do. But we'd like to have, you know, regular stuff besides just the festival and our Shiver Shindig in October. So,
Okay, that should be all we need for right now.
okay,
Thanks, Joanne.
thanks a lot for listening.
Thank you.
Can you shoot me an email with that, what you said,
Yeah.
Rachel, as far as the timeline, so I can take that back to
Yep,
everybody? Thank you very much for
Please.
listening. You want one? I want you to go to work on your end too, Mr.
All right. I appreciate you guys
Mister.
having me tonight.
Hey,
Just
we're
wanted to
friends.
discuss a couple of things
And if we work,
that
you'd still
are
be
kind of related
Mr.
to our contract. One of them is our board membership, and we've had a lot of discussion. Our executive committee has met a couple of times. I do have members of our board here tonight. Just want to see if you would consider an option, and then if not, you know, according to our contracts, we have until like September 1st to come up with like a final plan for a reduction of our board. But here's what we're thinking. We'd like to request consideration by the county commissioners to leave our board intact for our current bylaws for the following reasons. A few reasons. Our board is made up of volunteers who receive no financial compensation, so therefore it's not a budgetary concern. Our meetings are very well attended, especially this year, especially since COVID started and we have this option of Zoom. 4 meetings, and the first meeting of the year, we reviewed our attendance policy, discussed with our board the wishes of the commissioners to reduce the numbers. And so by, I don't know, just discussing our attendance policy, because last year, you know, it was an issue at times and we had to send notices saying, you know, you need to be in compliance. Well, this year we've had 3 board members who have been out of compliance with the attendance policy. We did send notes to each of those members, and one of those members has chosen to politely resign. We also, since the beginning of the year, we've reduced our membership from 28 to 23, and we do expect that number to go down a bit at the end of the year as terms expire. And then the reason our board is what it is because of our membership. And we have, you know, our board is committed to what's going on in Stark County and the betterment of Stark County. They bring expertise in a variety of skill sets in many different disciplines. And so we try and harvest those assets to make up our board. So those were some of the things that we looked at and said, you know, we'll at least come before the commissioners, say this is our thought. Understanding that we do have a little bit more time, and maybe if we need to get on the agenda for the next meeting to come up with a better plan, or, you know, and we have a plan in mind. It's just that we feel like the people that are on our board are important to our board. So something maybe if you wouldn't mind at least considering. And then, you know, when we're the other, and I can come back in 2 weeks. You'll get tired of seeing me, but
I think I'd like to see maybe like, who is on the board
Sure.
current, you know. and
absolutely. And I have.
Their like positions, I guess.
Do you have, how many at-large members?
We have, let's see, I can pop them up very quickly here. We have 10 at-large members.
Okay.
And the rest are representative members from town, city, county. We do not have the plan commission this year because that was one of the things we tried in Hamlet, just because those were positions that mainly were not attended very well. So at the first of the year, we just kind of said, let's eliminate, I would eliminate those, but you know, I think the plan commission is kind of an important piece and should be part of our board. You know, just something to think about, and I'm happy to send you the board to think of who's at large, who's representative.
Okay.
And then you guys can see what you think, if you know, if that's okay.
I just would like to get a better idea.
Sure.
is all it is.
Absolutely, that would be great.
Because there are representative members that I think would be better to keep on
Mhm.
than just cut out.
Right.
But then there's the counter argument, you know, just the general size of it.
Mhm.
And when you compare it to similar sized counties or similar sized organizations,
18,
you are on the
20.
large side.
Yeah, we are with what we have, but we feel that it works for us, and if we didn't think that it was very efficient, then I wouldn't be here. And we would just say, you know, and we'll do whatever you think we need to do, but I'll be happy to send the list and for your review and,
I think we should consider it, yeah.
okay. But yeah, and then I'm happy to come back in 2 weeks if we get, so we get in what we need to get in. The other thing I wanted to talk about real quick was the foundation and skill separation, which was another thing that was suggested that we looked at. So here is what's going on with skill in the foundation, and these are the separations as it stands, and then you guys can decide if it needs to be more than what it is. The foundation and skill are separate business entities, with each entity filing their own business or entity report on their behalf. SCEDF is a 501c6, skill is a 501c3. The 501c6 status for us means that we can lobby, and it was set up that way when the organization began. The disadvantage for us is that charitable contributions, donations are not tax deductible. Whereas if we were a 501c3 like skill is, any contribution to skill would be tax deductible. Our finances are separate. We do share the same bookkeeper. She has an office at skill. She has an office in our building. But the finances are separate. We each have separate boards of directors. We each have separate bylaws. And the foundation office is no longer housing any skill staff. Ron retired in June and from the foundation. So he's not there. So Mary and I are running the show and hopefully doing a good job at that. The only other thing that I can think of, currently there's one, it's not one audit a year. Each entity is audited separately every year, but they schedule, it's the same auditor group, and they schedule one audit. They come in for 2 or 3 days and they audit both entities. So, I mean, if we said, okay, well, we're going to separate it even more and say skill has an audit this week and the foundation has an audit that week, that could cost both entities more money just because it, you know, the firm comes down from Maryville and that sort of thing. So, and I guess, you know, as an economic development organization, we'll always have an overlap with skill in regard to workforce development, because workforce development is economic development. Skill was created to trade up a workforce, and the foundation attracts and retains companies for those workers. So while we can be separate in every way, there's still a connection.
So, yeah, I understood this to be one of the points that came out of a consultant's review,
Right.
and I haven't read this report in months, so I've forgotten
I keep
all of it.
pulling it up every once in a while,
But
but
what was their reason for including this as a point of their presentation?
I don't recall any particular reason why they thought that it needed to be separate.
Or,
Does
and
anybody else
and I
recall?
don't remember reading anything that gave any specifics on how they should be separated,
Right,
so I don't.
so
I think it was just like the financial side of it.
The problem or the issue that the consultant found was that it diluted the mission of the Economic Development Foundation too much. There was too much focus on skill and not enough on job creation and, you know, other aspects of economic development. Most of the focus was going that direction. And so they felt, you know, long-term for the Economic Development Foundation to be beneficial to the county, that they should be separate.
And so we are, I mean, in every way, but you're right, Dave, there were some things that that we do like on a daily basis that maybe geared more toward some, the skill folks doing, or they said these are, you know, this is what the foundation does, this is what skill does.
Well, just a lot of the effort. I mean, a lot of your resources and effort were focused primarily on skill. And, you know, I mean,
And I'll tell you, since we have reduced our number of staff and we're now a staff of 2, we don't have that focus. I mean, we have to, you know, we do what we do and skill does what they do, because we just don't have the manpower to try and oversee both. So if there's something in addition to these items, you could, you know, just let me know and we can.
Once upon a time, there were 2 different contracts.
Exactly. Yes, they've always been 2 separate contracts until this year.
Okay.
Yes. And then Skill did not have a contract at all last year, but prior to last year, Skill had a contract and the foundation had a contract.
That's something I'm interested in looking into. I mean, as far as separation goes, I mean, we can define separation in 2 separate contracts if need be.
Yeah.
I can send you a copy of the contract.
Okay.
There, as she said, there's only the one in effect right now.
Right, exactly. And then I will tell you, this is, well, let's go to county zoning ordinance. So a couple years ago, I believe the county was interested in paying somebody a lot of money to organize the county ordinances, and really ended up getting not much bang for the buck. So we had talked to the county and said, what if we bring in a former intern to help get the county ordinances organized? We'll pay half, the county will pay half. That was agreed upon according to Rachel. She was, because the project is basically done. I got the bill, and the total bill was $4,500, $4,582.50. So we sent a claim to the county for their portion for $2291.25. And I believe, and I hope, well, I know that the ordinances are all up online now. And I talked to the IT department for the county, because right now because right now they're organized by year, and hoping that we'll be able to get like a search by keyword sort of thing. I also thought, and I haven't discussed the possibility of like a table of contents that actually pops up on the website, and you can just click on the link to whatever the particular ordinance is.
I would like to review this.
Sure,
I
it's
haven't
online.
had it sent to you to review ever.
It's everything that was already in place. It's
Okay.
just.
No, but the codification is a process in itself, right?
The what?
That turning a bunch of ordinances into like a code. That's a process that,
is it somewhat challenging because there's.
I don't
gonna-
think they were going that far. They were
Okay, they're
just-
just
No, we-
making a collection of them.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
And then we turned it
Okay.
into, we
Right,
turned it
all right.
into the plan commission.
and this was done a while ago. right?
Well, it started about 2 years ago and really just completed in the last
Okay,
month or so, probably.
okay.
So, and this is just planning commission ordinances.
It's got this, it's got sewage, it's got plan commission,
I got you. It's just the planning stuff. It's not
No.
like all
No, no, no,
ordinances.
no.
Okay, I get it. I get it.
Ours,
I get it.
yeah.
In fact, I have seen that, so I take it all back.
They made it all nice and neat.
It would be nice to have it for every,
Yes.
you know,
Right. And so this is the part we did, and Pam, I don't know,
I reviewed most of it and I found just a couple things that need
Sure.
corrected, but it looks great.
yeah, I've seen it. It's good.
Okay, super.
Sorry for the
No
misdirection
problem.
there.
That's all right. And other than that, I will tell you that when I left my office today, there were probably 40 people in there from the Bass Lake Solar Project. The developers are here doing their planning today and tomorrow. I believe they'll be at the Plan Commission next week. Today, there were property owners there, and it was a pretty festive place when I left there at about 4:45 today. And so the fellas said if any of the commissioners are available tomorrow and want to meet with any of them, they would be available. They're in our office from like 9 to 1. They could potentially be available after they're done with their planning session. And I will report that they expect, it's here, they expect that this project will be in and working by June of 2023. I got an email saying that they would like to break ground in early October this year. So it seems to be moving forward, and so that's kind of exciting. Questions?
I don't have anything.
Okay, and I will get copies of our board and kept to you guys, and you can let me know. I'm happy to come back in 2 weeks if that
Yeah,
doesn't
definitely.
satisfy you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks. Lisa.
great, thank
Thanks,
you.
Lisa. Mark, come on up.
So, as far as that goes, I represent Oregon Township. I'm the township trustee, if you guys didn't know that. Anyway, so with that being said, the Coons Lake Fire Department and the Coons Lake Association have tried to get a grant for Stellar in the past for a conglomeration building, I call it, which serves two purposes. Serves for fire protection / community projects / any type of involvement / all the above, as I say. Because right now, Coons Lake area does not have a isolated building. They do have the fire department for, I would consider that emergency services, but it's very inadequate for many reasons. What we have done is last fall, we did get a little bit of funding that we worked really hard for and built. I call it a temporary Band-Aid for space. Coons Lake is one of the busiest areas for fire protection / medical / all the above because of the close proximity to 23 and 30. We have a lot of wrecks. We have a lot of brush fires. And of course, in the summertime, we have a tremendous amount of influx of people with the lake. There's no real place that these people can go except for, if we had an all-out emergency, we'd have the fire department. We do have a generator there that was purchased, of course, by the Coons Lake Association to help for that need. But that really isn't, as you look at all the discrepancies on the second page, it's not ADA compliant. There's a lot of issues that we ran into that we could run into if we had an emergency. The last new building was this addition. That's just a temporary Band-Aid. And we tried to get grant funding through Stellar. And of course, the county didn't get Stellar designation, so that got put to a stop. So with that being said, we've worked together with Territorial Engineering. They came up with an estimated cost, and that was through the Stellar designation before. I know it's a substantial amount, but Coons Lake has not seen any per se new buildings since the 60s. The KLA is quite old, and so is the Coons Lake Fire Department. So we've grown, the community's grown, but we haven't had the funding or the opportunity to make it better for the residents of that community. So it got discussed. Actually, I talked to Mark at the fair, and I mentioned that to him, and I came in front of all three of you. I worked with the fire department, I worked with a KLA, and we came up with some type of design that would be sufficient. Of course, this was through the Stellar before, and it didn't go anywhere. So I mean, there's a lot of opportunity here for this community. So there's some money that was allocated, and so kind of discussed it and want to present it to you three, have you at least look at it. And as far as that goes, I think if you look around, we've got some firefighters here. We've got the president of the Coons Lake Association. She's more than welcome to speak if she'd like. Her name is Rita. She's sitting back there. We have other members that are here, and community leaders here. Some of the businesses that are in Coons Lake are here. So I just wanted to come in front of the three commissioners. I have a letter from the state senator, Mike Bohatchett, and then Representative Jim Presto sitting in the back room. I asked him to come and support this project. So as far as that goes, it would be a big plus for the Coons Lake area. And I just, as a representation of that area, I wanted to be here to represent the people of that community, and give us a fair opportunity to present it.
It's a very good presentation, I'd say, on this.
In the back, there's a big drawing. We can bring it up if you'd like to see.
What's this one? Yeah. That's a big number.
If I can add a little bit,
Yeah.
the big reason the fire department needs a newer building is they have to buy, from my understanding, buy old trucks that fit in the building as opposed to buying something newer that'll last longer in the long run, cost less money.
I've heard that about several buildings in emergency services lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as the KLA, the last couple of years, we've added a lot of events that we've done. Last Saturday concerts, we had euchre, we rent the place on a very regular basis. I'm sorry?
It's an old garage.
It
was a
basically
gas
started
station.
as an old garage and they got expanded on. I think we're getting to the point where just maintaining it is a big cost. So I think we have plenty of room to grow, to bring people to our town, to bring events. And fire department, much more modern equipment.
All comes down to funding.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
hardest part, and it's with everything that this government's touching now, it comes down to where do we find funding for it?
Mark, the Hardesty Foundation would possibly, this would be the kind of thing they would be likely to provide some support for, but as you say, it's a big number.
Actually, he gave 25,000 to us, and we matched that pretty much. We did a lot of stuff ourselves. So that building we may have 50,000 in that expansion across the street, and that's our Band-Aid. We don't have a lot of parking now. That took some more parking away. On top of that, that building is a block building that we're currently using. So the winter time, we're seeing $800 a month to keep it 50 degrees. So, you know, it's a big number, so it's a lot of inefficiencies and just one of those situations where you know, you've gotten by for so long. In 1960, it probably was great, but in 2020, it's not so great. So with the length of trucks, I know Mr. Grayman probably runs in the same thing in Washington Township. I'm sure he has. You gotta get custom cabs. That's quite a bit of expense. Can't buy used trucks. Expense, you know, you've seen it, like you said, in the EMS side. So we're hitting that all over the place, but I always have to think of opportunity, and this was an opportunity I wanted to present. So
I guess that's. Yes, sir. State your name, please, for us.
I'm Mike McKenna. I'm a resident of the Twin Lake community. I'd just like to point out that a major component of any community improvement program is the support and energy of the grassroots movement. And Coons Lake has proved themselves as being capable of that kind of support and energy with the work that we do with the fire department on a community level. Development of the sewer system that was done by community members, creation of the conservancy district for the protection of the lake, and lots of things that the KLA does on a weekly and monthly basis, an annual basis to help community members. So we're a community that are involved in making the lives of our community residents better.
Is there anyone else state anything? That's our biggest issue would be the funding.
Yeah, always is.
It's just what we gotta look at and deal with, so.
It's a good plan.
Yeah,
I like it.
definitely is.
Of course, it's Oregon Township, so it has to include a basketball court.
Stereo.
So,
and they do pickleball. What is it every
week?
Every Saturday.
So we have functions and local plays. It would be nice to be able to have it indoors. You could probably do some stuff indoors if we had an opportunity to do something like this.
How did Hamlet fund there? Because they've got a relatively newer building now.
Hardesty
Hardesty.
Foundation. Okay. And then wasn't it what's his, I don't know his last name is.
Father's family.
Yes, he funded a lot of it too.
Okay.
So it wasn't so as much the resident. I mean, their tax rate is, but they also have a town. We don't have a town.
Right, exactly.
That hurts.
And if there are other options we can pursue, we appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep in contact with you. So,
Okay, well, thank you for your time, John.
thank you.
Appreciate it. It's nice to meet you.
And I want to say to Coons Lake community members, so Stark County still
Seen
has
it.
grant money for small businesses. I have not seen any applications from Coons Lake, and I know you got businesses up there. So please pass along the information. The application is on our website, Stark County Government.
As you said, most of our, like, our only grocery store, the only grocery store we had is gone. Now they're talking about making it into a used car lot and selling produce in the back. This ought to be interesting. We have a gas station. We have the real estate office, library, restaurant, and a bar, and a brewery. That's Coons, that's the town of Coons Lake.
And it could be like, it can be home, home businesses, construction businesses up there. It doesn't have to be like a something that public goes
Something
into.
beyond, yeah, it can be beyond retail.
So
But
try
somebody
to
should
get,
talk
pass
to the
along that
restaurant, though.
information. I'd like to see some
main
from
business.
Coons
Well,
Lake.
he's
to
been
give
working on
Coons
the
Lake some money.
restaurant, he's been working on the outside of the restaurant and stuff.
I'm sure they were affected though. Somebody should.
Somebody
Yeah,
has
he
had to
got
have been
money
affected
somewhere,
up there.
But I don't know from where.
$10,000. application on Stark County government
Can we
website.
use it for the KLA building too?
Can't go to nonprofit,
Can't go to nonprofit.
has to go to a business.
Okay.
And indirectly, this trying to improve the fire department, having a better community center, more involved community, hopefully will draw a new crowd, some people that believe that a business might flourish there. I put in for a grant for new signs, brick and mortar signs. They're working on some sidewalks along the main parts of town. I mean, those things go a long way towards changing people's attitudes towards an area and well,
Okay. I'd like to thank everybody for coming from Coons Lake.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Charlie, I'm sorry, are you going to claims?
No, go ahead.
No, is that all you have left? I didn't look at your agenda, sorry. I
pretty
don't
much,
want to.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to jump in though, just so I could talk about the ARPA funds. Just speak on behalf of the council because I feel like the council is very consolidated on this. I know, I see you looking at your watches, let me take a second. And I think it's great that I get calls all the time and many people are coming up with ideas how to spend this money. But I want to make real clear again, the timeline that Rachel brought up. And at the end of the day, the council is going to decide how to spend the money. We'll take recommendations, obviously, but the intention of that funding is to close the gap that we're going to see in revenues. And so we're still working all that out. So all the different projects that are out in the county, I just don't want people to hold back on any projects they might be working on because we're not going to make any decisions probably for a pretty long time here. We're in a holding pattern. I mean, unless there's some area of suffrage, but we have to look for the county first. That's the intention of the money. Generally, township, town, city, all the other governments and pots of money are separate normally. I mean, I understand how some of these could be justified as economic development projects and things like that. You've heard me talk about the Sandpier Parks a few times when I'm talking about parks, but I just don't want everybody to get their hopes up at this point. Just understand that the primary intentions for that is to close the gaps that we might have in the county. We're going to service that first. So I just want to, and that's a consolidated message from the council. We spoke about it at the last council meeting. There's no wavering on that. We're going to hold on that money for some time.
Yeah, and
We have to.
with all of these requests and proposals we're getting, it's going to be a nice, good, long conversation that the commissioners have with.
Yeah, I mean, I suggest that there's a project list that these get added to, but again, and I just want to, everybody understand just putting some realism to this. We're a couple years out from spending any of that money, really, most likely. On other things that aren't related to the county. So I don't want anybody to hold back on any of their projects, especially if they're in great need. Marty mentioned the Hardesty Foundation. There have been 2 firehouses and one built and one renovated during that time, and they found other ways to do it. There are other, resources for funding. I just don't want to see anybody hold back on a project, waiting for this because it has a very strong designation on what it's primarily to be used for. So.
Which is why I said, if you have any other directions that we can go with this, we'll take any input that we can get. We don't expect the building to start up tomorrow. No, this is a long process.
Just one thing I would just, I have studied this, I just kind of shoot from him, but when you start talking, a project in that range, sometimes those projects are going to be done with a bond issue.
I was just going to say that.
I mean, I don't know if you're going to find cash, to do that project, but it is a project that would have a long, useful life in the community. It's got to have at least a 20 to 30 year useful life. So those kind of, and frankly, finance, bond money is pretty cheap right now. So, that might be the realistic way to get that project done. I think that capability is out there legally.
Especially speaking to that, a $2 million project that has sustenance, there are so many other things that need to be built into that plan as a project. I mean, it's going to have to be financed. I mean, that's just, $2 million. It's a pretty strong project. But like Marty said, if you amortize that, you know, again, I wish the bond market was stronger because that would help you. The bond market is not in your favor right now, but theoretically in 18 months, you know, that should be back to normal. You could possibly finance the project and, you know, look for other things to, you know, to shore it up. But I would talk to the other departments too. You know, Hamlet built a pretty nice firehouse for $800,000, but that was like 4 years ago that, you know, that the,
Tiny community area. Go
you
in there,
know,
Dave.
what's that?
Go into that building, tell me that it looks like this size. It's not near the size either.
And we're actually putting two things together. you know, I mean,
Well, they
we're
have a
just-
community center at Hamlet too, and their village.
It's,
Well,
Take a trip down and look. at
yeah,
it.
I'm not gonna help you determine your size. I'm just trying to help you, you know, that understand that
That's-
funding this
no, we
project. and,
Appreciate the input.
you know, many years of being involved in municipal projects. I mean, a project of that size is gonna require some anchoring to that funding. And so I would look for that. I mean, even if, let's say if ARPA funds started being split up, they're not gonna be split up in $1 million increments. It can't. There's, you know, I mean, there are so many people that want part of that money. And, you know, and the other thing is, and I would argue that does help with economic development, but it's very specific that really it's geared towards growth and economic development. I mean, we need factories here, we need infrastructure. We're talking about developing our parks. I mean, that was one park that needs $100,000. There's 12 other ones that need $100,000 in Stark County. So I mean, you know, I would like to see you get the firehouse. I've been in that, you know, I'm a firefighter for 25 years, you know, I mean, I know there's a need there. And I'll think about it too. I'll let you know, Mark, if I'll look around. You know, Jim probably has some other things that he can look into as well.
Jim, is Stellar coming back, Jim?
I don't know that Stellar's coming back for sure. We still talk about it. For Pico, it was going to come back, and I have not seen anything for it to actually happen again. Great project, just like community crossings. The state continues to throw out projects, dollars that we can use locally in the grant process. So hopefully Stellar does come back because Stark County did so well with it. Great project. So I was gonna wait till public comment, but since I'm up and talking about ARPA funding, I think it's awesome. You get a turnout like this for your commissioners meeting, with concerned communities, right? To present just two examples of how we could make communities, unincorporated areas better. And it's all about quality of place. And it's about helping the communities out. So I think it's great. Sam Pierre, Joanne's done a great job with that since I've been involved. What she's done and what she's started and the momentum that's going on over there. She deserves a medal for all the work that she's put into it. Great festival, looking forward to it this weekend. You know, it's a great project and it is that quality of life. St. Pierre doesn't have a lot going for it, but as they continue to build that community through projects like this, I think you see more infill coming into it. And it's not just St. Pierre. I mean, you're getting La Crosse, you're getting North Judson. You are drawing from that whole township and other townships around it. So great project. The Coons Lake Fire Station, another great project. Huge price tag. So Dave, I get where you're coming from, and it's awesome that the council participates in the commissioner meeting just to have this dialogue back and forth. I think that's a good expectation to be set. There's $4 million that's available, is my understanding. And here's a $2 million ask, and here's a $170,000 ask, and I'm sure you're going to get many, many more. But making investments in the community through this ARPA fund, I think is a great step and a great direction to lift Stark County up. So Coons Lake can surely use a shot in the arm, whether it's part of it, don't know. Bonding part of it, I think there's a lot of options out there. Like Dave's pointed out, the commissioners have pointed out, and my favorite auditor has pointed out, that, you know, there's other options that you can maybe blend some things into it. So there's not one way to skin a cat, right?
That's going on record.
But I always say
That's
award
why
winning.
I
said,
Yeah, you are my
favorite.
So with that, I encourage you to continue to look. Other communities have put together boards to figure out what they're going to do with the ARPA dollars. So I really respect that our elected officials in Stark County are actually having these conversations rather than a board, not elected officials trying to determine what they're going to do with those dollars. This is big for Stark County. It's big for everybody. So make an investment into the community, I think, is the way to go.
Thanks, Jim. Or motion to approve the claims in the amount of $470,982.60.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So a motion to approve the payroll claims in the amount of $251,285.85.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from Tuesday, July 7th and Monday, July 19th?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Got the blood drive.
Yeah, a couple of employees asked me if it'd be possible if we could think about hosting a blood drive, so I did look into it. I mean, nothing really we have to do other than if it was some, I don't think this room would be big enough. I think we'd have to do it by their bus. So somewhere to park the bus, like up there at the end, probably.
Right.
But I wanted to get your permission to do it first.
Yeah. We have an adequate space for it. No reason not.
I'm sure that'd be fine.
Motion. Yeah, make a motion. We host a blood drive. Rachel work out the logistics.
Right, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
You got anything else, Mark?
I do not.
Brian?
No.
Marty? You got
No.
anything? Rachel?
I mean, I guess you could do that ordinance next time. The ordinance about our. Okay, it's all right.
Does
It doesn't
anyone,
matter.
does anyone else have anything for us? Yes, sir.
Jay Troiki.
Okay.
I got a question for you on these solar farms. I've been asking around, I may be late to the party here, but is it true that you're not requiring a rezoning of any of this land in Stark County that's going into the solar farm?
We haven't had a request to rezone anything.
If it's agricultural, hey Jay, if it's agricultural, then it's already set for solar.
Who's speaking?
If it's residential, then if it's residential, then you have to try to get it rezoned.
Or commercial.
Or commercial, yeah.
Why would agriculture, they had to rezone things in Winnipeg to put plastic.
Different county.
Yeah, that was a total different county. We're kind of.
Stark County had, before this ever came up, Stark County passed an ordinance that allowed solar development in agricultural zones.
Right.
Right. Well, it's just an opinion, and I'm not saying I'm totally against it, but I think you guys have made a mistake. I really do. This thing seems to be exploding. When it first came in, I didn't come to any of the meetings. There was some talk about rezoning some of the land from residential back to agriculture in Bass Lake area, right? And that had to be done. I talked to a couple of neighbors that they had approached and was involved in it. And they said, well, we're gonna put a few acres to the east, but we're not gonna do too much of it. We're not interested in that much. All of a sudden, this thing comes out and my property, where I live, I'm now engulfed in an industrial solar farm. And when I built my house, in my wildest dreams, you wonder what could go in the land next to you. But I never thought that I would live in an industrial solar farm. For a mile and a half of road, it's gonna be nothing but, or a mile of road, it's gonna be nothing but industrial solar farm. And they just keep expanding. They just keep wanting more acres. When it came in, when they started in Pulaski County, this was a Pulaski County project. There are other projects in the one I'm referring to is the Pulaski County project. And they moved it into Stark County as well. When it came in, they said they needed 4,500 acres. I'm not sure on that. I could be wrong, 4,500 or 6,500 acres. That's what they had to have. Some of the people in Pulaski County that, as you know, turned into a pretty big fiasco down there trying to get that resolved at public meetings and that. They said if you were not signed up originally as part of that original program, you couldn't even be involved. That was all they were doing. Since then, this thing has just blossomed. And if they're offering such big money, Pulaski County offers $1,000 an acre, and they take your entire farm. It's chain link fenced. You lose access to it. I was totally surprised by the people that went for it. I mean, I'm born and raised in farming. I thought most of the people are going to say, take a hike, glad to talk to you, but we're not interested. That's not what we're here for. I wasn't surprised by some, I'm totally surprised by others, but this thing's just exploding. And most of the people in this county, I don't believe, realize what's going to happen when it starts and what their county's going to look like. I was told, and I hate to repeat hearsay because that's all it is. I don't know a lot of facts because you can't seem to find anything out about this. But I was told by a guy that was involved in the original program that had been attending a lot of the meetings. And one day at the lunch room, he'd come in and he said, have you heard the latest plan? I said, no. He said, they want 44,000 acres of solar panels in Stark County. Eventually, that's their goal. And I don't know whether that's true, but that's being put out there. And more people just keep signing more and more farms. My property's damaged. I don't want these. I'm not saying I'll never have them if I don't have a choice at some point in time, but I don't want these. Nobody will buy my house. I don't have any intentions of selling my house. But someday, if I ever have to, or the heirs of my family have to, who's going to want to live amongst that? And in Pulaski County, you can talk all you want to about what's another county, but maybe you guys ought to get on board, because in Pulaski County, they have to pay damages. If you reduce adjoining property owners, from what I've been told, again, I could be wrong, you have to pay. They are offering money, and then they're also guaranteeing your current property value. If you adjoin this, they guarantee your current property value, like 10 years from now, if you want to sell and you can't get that value, they have to pay you that. So I just think you guys have made a mistake. I think when this thing starts and it explodes the way it's going and they start this building, I think that people that have no clue what's going on, when they see what they're living next to, they're not going to be happy about it.
Make a comment from what.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay, it's the project at Bass Lake is in the neighborhood of 1,500 to 2,000 acres. There is a project on the west side of the county in Railroad Township, I believe, that is part of the NIPSCO plant shutting down and going, getting rid of coal fire. And that one, I believe, is also in the 1,500 to 2,000 acre arena. They were looking at potentially one more project in between Knox and Hamlet, which would be a similar size. So 4,500 acres to maybe 5,000 total if a third one would come into the county. But the two that are actually in process, we're talking maybe 3,000 acres.
I thought it was a little more than that, but it's not a huge difference.
No, it's
I
not
thought
44,000.
I thought Mammoth was about 4,400 acres and the one in Railroad Township, which is Dunsbridge, is 1,500 acres. Now, I didn't bring the documents with me, but it was nothing like 44,000.
Because I know, I farm in Railroad Township too, and I have a landlord that's out of state, basically. And she called me, they're still approaching people to sign up more acres. So if you say that, it's not ending. That's my point. This is not ending. They just keep approaching people, and people that I would have swore would have said, no, that's not what we had land for.
Well,
they're not turning down the money, and And in my area, basically, I live on 200 East and I'm not near Bass Lake. But the acres that I'm talking about are part of the Bass Lake project. It just keeps spreading and it just keeps coming out and more people just keep signing up. And they had said originally that they weren't allowing any more sign.
What I can tell you is that there's not been a request for incentives on acres of that amount. That I know for
Right,
that.
yeah.
I'm not saying, they can approach all the people they want, I guess,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I
Yeah,
get
right,
all that.
right.
And I'm not here to be against solar farms.
Gotcha.
Okay, everybody's against something. I'm not here for that. But if this, I know land that adjoins me, the boat property right across from me. Excuse me, Perry was one that I talked to when this whole thing started. And he said his daughter was gonna put a few acres in over to the east, but he wasn't interested in it. Now the whole farm's in it. And Perry's made the comment that out of 1,000 acres, they have 50 farms. Maybe, if it all goes in there, they're driving pilings in the ground and testing things out. So I'll look at them right across the road, and if you go to the north edge of my property, then it'll be, for a mile, it'll be an industrial solar farm. On part of it boats and part of it other people. I was called a week ago for a farm that I farmed. The landowner was in Wisconsin, they wanted his number because they want an easement across his property to bury an electric wire to hook up more farms. I gave him his number, it's not my job to hide him, but I called him and told him what they would be calling him for and told him that I wouldn't want to do it if it was my farm, but he could do whatever he wanted. This thing seems to be exploding from what I'm hearing. Now, I don't have all the facts, and I'm not here to say him, but I think you guys are making a mistake by not forcing some rezoning or some variances or something on this. I really do. That's what I came to say.
Thank you, Jay. No one else has anything for us? Is there a motion of